Fail. This is vailychat.
Imagine waking up, making your morning coffee, looking out at the peaks and realizing just like that, every single drop of winter snow is already gone.
Right. And that's not some theoretical climate model projecting out to like the year 2050.
No, it isn't.
That actually happened here this week.
Yeah, and that bizarre, honestly unsettling reality sets the absolute perfect stage for what we are unpacking today. So welcome to the deep dive.
That'll be here.
Today is Tuesday, April 21, 2026, and we are sorting through this incredibly fascinating stack of local operational reports, municipal dockets, and international news wires focused right here on the Eagle River Valley and beyond.
Yeah, it's quite a stack today.
It really is. And as we were synthesizing all these sources, this very clear master theme emerged. We're calling it global limbo, municipal tech, and hydrological stress.
It is a phenomenal through line, honestly. I mean, the sources today reveal exactly how these macro-level stalemates, those massive abstract uncertainties that usually feel thousands of miles away, are currently trickling all the way down to strain local municipal budgets, disrupt highway logistics, and fundamentally alter the physical environment of mountain towns.
Which is exactly why you need to care about this. Because whether you are, sitting at your desk checking your investment portfolio, or you're just trying to drive your car down I-70 this afternoon without getting stuck.
Good luck with that.
Right. But this interconnected web of logistical stress is dictating your daily reality. So let's jump right into the deep end with the global and macroeconomic picture, because right now, everything feels like it's stuck in this massive holding pattern.
Yeah, the geopolitical landscape currently defines the word limbo.
Totally.
Like the international wires in today's stack outline these high-level U.S.-Iran peace negotiations actively taking place in Pakistan, but they are in a state of highly precarious diplomatic standstill.
And the stakes there are astronomical. I mean, especially with President Trump renewing threats of overwhelming military force if a deal is not reached. And just a quick pause here for the listener. Purely from an analytical standpoint, we're stripping away any partisan politics or opinions on foreign policy. We are absolutely not here to debate the administration. We are strictly reporting the facts from the sources.
Exactly. Just looking at the mechanics of it. And fundamentally, markets despise that kind of unpredictability.
They really do.
I take that a step further, actually. It's not just that markets despise it. Capital physically retreats from it.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, when you have a diplomatic standoff of that magnitude, institutional money flies into safe havens like treasury bonds. It just freezes liquidity.
Right. People get scared.
Exactly. And that atmosphere of hesitation is compounding with major corporate shifts as well. Look at the national business news today.
Oh, with Apple News?
Yeah. Apple CEO Tim Cook officially confirming he will step down this September, handing the reins to John Ternus.
Which is just a seismic shift in the corporate world. I mean, think about it. Tim Cook represents a 15-year era of predictable, flawless supply chain mastery. And Ternus is an engineering and hardware executive. So that signals a massive pivot at one of the most influential companies on Earth, from steady logistics back to high-risk hardware innovation.
It really does. But look at how that contrasts with the local reality.
Right.
You might ask how a boardroom transition in Cupertino or a diplomatic summit in Pakistan literally pauses a home closing in the Eagle River Valley.
Yeah, what's the connection there?
It's that mechanism of capital flight. The regional real estate reports today show a severe spring housing slump. Mountain town listings are completely stalling out following our historically dry winter.
Wow, so it's all connected. Think about the pipeline of that hesitation. Think of this macro uncertainty like a heavy fog.
Okay.
It makes everyone, from Apple's executive board to a family trying to buy a house in the Eagle Valley, freeze in place and wait for visibility.
That's a great way to put it.
Because if you're a high net worth individual looking at buying a multi-million-dollar secondary property in the valley and the geopolitical world is shaking, a blue chip tech stock you are heavily invested in is undergoing a leadership transition, and the mountain you're buying next to didn't get any snow. What do?
You freeze. You park your cash and wait.
Exactly.
And that freeze in capital has an immediate cascading effect downstream. Like when the real estate market stalls, local economic velocity slows down.
Yeah.
And that forces local governments to stretch their existing resources to the breaking point. Which brings us directly into today's municipal dockets.
Yeah, the pressure on these local systems is just intense right now. We are seeing municipalities pivoting hard, both in terms of legal policy and technology, just to keep their heads above water.
Absolutely.
For instance, the Eagle County Sheriff's Office has formally announced a softening of its departmental position regarding Colorado's red flag firearms regulations.
And again, just to echo your earlier point, we are strictly looking at the operational mechanics here without taking any stance on the legislation itself.
Exactly.
What we are observing is a local department adapting to a complex legal environment.
Right. And let's actually unpack what that means mechanically for a second, because the term gets thrown around a lot.
It does.
From anyone who isn't familiar with the day-to-day of it, red flag laws are essentially designed to allow law enforcement, or sometimes family members, to petition a judge to temporarily hold firearms from individuals if they are deemed an immediate danger to themselves or others. So what the docket shows is a law enforcement agency actively shifting how they implement that state-level legal tool locally.
It's a recalibration of resources.
Yeah.
And we're seeing an even more dramatic recalibration happening today with municipal tech.
Oh, this was wild.
Right. The Vail Town Council is convening at 12:00 p.m. today, and on the agenda, the Vail Public Safety Communications Center is urgently requesting $51,000 to integrate something called Aurelian AI.
Aurelian AI. I found the mechanics of the software absolutely fascinating.
Same here.
It's a non-emergency call-taking system, and it's specifically designed to mitigate dispatcher workload by acting as an automated triage layer.
Yeah, the mechanism is natural language processing.
Okay.
The AI handles the routine noise, the calls about a car parked too close to a driveway or a noise complaint at 2 a.m.
The stuff that isn't life-threatening.
Right. So that the human dispatchers aren't completely overwhelmed and they remain available for acute life-or-death emergencies.
I mean, I really have to push back on the underlying premise here, though.
How so?
Well, are we looking at a genuine, innovative technological solution, or is a $51,000 AI software just a high-tech Band-Aid covering a fundamentally exhausted municipal workforce?
That's the million-dollar question, or I guess the $51,000 question.
Right, because 51 grand does not solve the massive cost of living crisis that makes hiring and retaining human dispatchers in this valley so difficult in the first place.
No, it doesn't. But that is the core administrative tension facing mountain towns right now.
Yeah.
A human dispatcher requires a salary that could absorb local housing costs, plus benefits, plus months of training. And historically, the burnout rate is incredibly high.
Oh, I'm sure. It's a brutal job.
It is. So the municipality turns to an AI call taker when that human infrastructure is stretched to its absolute limit. $51,000 is a fixed cost. They buy the software to absorb the shock because they literally cannot hire fast enough.
But the human workforce is exhausted because the physical environment is forcing them into systemic overdrive.
That's a great point.
I mean, we cannot talk about economic limbo or municipal strain without addressing the giant dry elephant in the room. The hydrology data in today's stack is genuinely staggering.
It is. We mentioned it at the top of the show, but we really need to dive into the specific metrics.
Please do.
So regional SOTEL telemetry, those are the remote automated weather stations high up in the Alpine, confirms that the local snowpack completely melted out by March 31st.
March 31st.
Yes, the earliest date in recorded history.
Wow. To put that into perspective for you guys listening, hitting a total snowmelt by March 31 is like draining your entire bank account before your monthly bills are even due.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Right. The valley is now fundamentally running on a massive environmental deficit, and we still have the entire summer and fall to get through.
And an environmental deficit triggers immediate institutional panic at the federal level.
Totally.
Because the snowpack vanishes, the Bureau of Reclamation is actively pulling emergency levers on the regional water grid. They are currently slowing down water releases from Lake Powell while simultaneously increasing withdrawals from the upper basin reservoirs.
They are essentially playing a massive shell game with the Colorado River Basin.
Exactly.
Because they're legally obligated to deliver certain amounts of water downstream, but the climate math is completely broken.
Right.
So they physically manipulate reservoir gates to try and cheat the deficit and keep Lake Powell above dead pool status.
And the downstream effects of that deficit are highly visible right in the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at the operational data, Vail and Beaver Creek remain firmly closed. They had to terminate their seasons with final mid-mountain bases of just 30 inches and 18 inches, respectively.
Wait, 18 inches for a final base at Beaver Creek?
Yeah.
Wow, it just perfectly illustrates how abruptly and aggressively the season collapsed. But in the middle of all this environmental closure, there is one glaring outlier in the data today.
Copper Mountain.
Yes.
They are completely bucking the regional trend. Instead of packing it in, they are deploying a tactical extension of their season, staying open and offering a $49 lift ticket promo for their final operational week.
Which is such a brilliant piece of counter-programming.
It really is.
While the rest of the industry is forced to acknowledge the drought, copper is capturing the entire remaining market share of skiers who just absolutely refuse to accept that winter is over.
The irony, of course, is that you can't just teleport past these environmental and economic realities to go grab that $49 lift ticket.
Right, you have to drive there.
You have to physically navigate this landscape.
Yeah.
And the highway infrastructure right now is under severe contradictory constraints as it tries to adapt to this changing calendar.
Contradictory is the perfect word for it. The logistics of navigating the I-70 corridor today perfectly capture the friction we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
If we look at the reality of the weather versus the rules of the road, it feels like two completely different universes.
Absolutely.
Today features beautiful sunny skies and mid-60s temperatures.
Yet motorists are facing incredibly strict summer construction constraints superimposed over lingering winter rules.
It's wild. Let's look at Glenwood Canyon.
Okay.
It is restricted to 50% capacity today for major bridge joint reconstruction.
And the enforcement there is intense. There is a rigid 35-mile-per-hour speed limit and a strict 11-foot width restriction.
Wow.
It is a massive physical bottleneck trying to repair infrastructure that just gets hammered all winter.
Right. And then you look at the other side of the valley on Vail Pass.
Mhm.
The pass is open, the pavement is completely dry, and the sun is shining. But Traction Law Code 15 remains legally active for all passenger vehicles.
Which is just, this is exactly what drives people crazy.
It's a sunny 60-degree day where you could be driving with your windows down, yet the state law actively requires you to have specialized winter tires or chains in your car. It perfectly highlights the rigidity of bureaucratic systems.
Well, the mechanism behind that rigidity is the calendar.
Right.
State agencies establish a legal framework. Traction laws apply until May 31st.
Because that's what the book says.
Right. And that enforcement mechanism requires state troopers, physical signage, and liability protocols that are deployed seasonally.
Yeah.
A massive bureaucracy cannot quickly pivot and repeal a law just because the climate melted all the snow by March 31st. Because if they lift it and a freak May blizzard hits
Which happens in Colorado.
all the time, then the liability and the physical pileups are catastrophic.
So the law just refuses to budge even when the weather completely changes.
Exactly.
And if you are heading east towards Denver, that friction just continues on Floyd Hill.
Oh, Floyd Hill.
Yeah, travelers today have to anticipate 20-minute traffic holds between 9:000 a.m. and 3:0 p.m. for major rock scaling and blasting operations.
They are literally using dynamite to blow up the side of the mountain to widen the interstate.
It's intense.
And they have to pause all commercial and passenger momentum to do it safely. So your physical journey today is entirely defined by waiting.
Just waiting.
Waiting in the canyon for bridge work, waiting on Floyd Hill for dynamite blasts, and waiting under the shadow of winter traction laws on bone-dry pavement.
It is exhausting just thinking about the sheer friction of navigating it all.
It really is.
Which honestly makes it the perfect moment to zoom out and look at the human element of this entire stack.
Yeah, let's do that.
We've covered these massive forces today: geopolitical stalemates in Pakistan, multi-million-dollar municipal AI budgets, a historically unprecedented March 31st drought, and highway dynamite blasting. All of that systemic weight ultimately lands squarely on the shoulders of the local residents.
Because when the macro systems freeze up or fail to adapt to a changing reality, the microsystems, the local community networks, are forced to activate immediately to catch the fallout.
And according to today's community dockets, we are seeing that exact activation happening right now down in the Edwards Corps.
We really are.
Critical resources are actively deploying to act as a tangible safety net.
Yeah, for instance, the MIRA Community Services RV is stationed at the Eagle River Village mobile homes until 4:00 p.m. today.
Which is awesome.
It is. For context, this is a mobile unit that brings essential public health, legal, and community resources directly into the neighborhoods that need them most,
Right.
removing the logistical friction of transportation for vulnerable populations.
And just down the road from there, the community market is active. Volunteers are providing free, fresh groceries on Edwards Access Road from 1:00 p.m. to 6:00 d.m. today.
That's huge.
It is. I really want to pause and reflect on the deep contrast of the news we've covered in this dive.
Yeah.
We opened the show talking about billions in global tech shifts at Apple and the freeze of multi-million-dollar real estate capital.
Right.
But on the ground in Edwards, the actual literal safety net keeping the workforce intact is an RV and a group of neighbors handing out fresh groceries.
It is a profoundly striking dichotomy.
It really is.
It illustrates that while capital and government often operate in the abstract debating algorithmic triage or international treaties, human survival operates in the deeply tangible,
Yes.
fresh food, mobile health access, people physically showing up for one another.
And that tangible support also extends into the mental and emotional health of the valley.
Absolutely.
Looking ahead in the community calendar, the Bookworm of Edwards is hosting an event called A Pray with an Advocate this Thursday from 2:00 p.m. to 4:00 p.m.
This is organized to support Sexual Assault Awareness Month, working alongside the Bright Future Foundation.
It's so important.
It creates a necessary space for the community to engage, learn, and support survivors. It is the ultimate counterweight to the concept of global limbo. When the big systems are frozen in hesitation, the local networks have to remain incredibly fluid and relentlessly supportive.
Let's pull all of these threads together because we have covered an immense amount of ground today.
We really have.
Yeah.
But the through line is unmistakable.
Yeah.
We are navigating a period defined entirely by systemic friction. You have high-stakes diplomacy stalled out in Pakistan, creating a macroeconomic fog. That fog compounds a local real estate market already reeling from a shocking lack of winter. You have SNOWTEL data proving a historic March 31 meltdown, forcing the federal government to frantically manipulate the water grid at Lake Powell.
And then the local level.
Right down at the local municipal level, you have a town council spending $51,000 on an AI just to take the pressure off an exhausted human workforce.
Wow.
But underneath all of that pressure, catching the fallout, are the community safety nets operating in Edwards.
And why does every single piece of this matter to you? Because you are living your life right at the intersection of these overlapping forces. An empty snowpack isn't just a bummer for the ski season, it physically changes the federal water grid.
Right.
That water deficit changes the local economy, which dictates the flow of real estate capital, which ultimately determines the resources your town has to support its own people.
All linked.
Whether that is funding an AI dispatcher or funding the volunteers handing out groceries on Edwards Access Road, the web is entirely connected.
It is a delicate web, and it leaves me with one final thought for you to ponder as we close out today's deep dive.
What's that?
We saw in the dockets today that Vail is requesting $51,000 for an AI to help triage non-emergency calls because the human workforce is simply stretched too thin.
Right.
But as our environmental baselines keep breaking historic records, like that staggering March 31 meltdown, what happens when we eventually have to ask that same municipal AI to start triaging resources during the next truly unprecedented ecological crisis? When the water runs lower or the fires burn hotter, who sets the parameters for survival? The human beings who are already exhausted, or the algorithms we bought to replace them?
Wow. That is a heavy, completely necessary question to carry with us. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us today. We appreciate your time, your curiosity, and your willingness to explore exactly how the macro impacts the micro. Have a great afternoon, Eagle Valley. Stay safe out there.